They watched the lead disappear yesterday as they fell to the Broncos and dropped out of first place in the division. Jordan Love threw multiple second-half picks, and the defense allowed Bo Nix to tie a career high with 4 touchdown passes. And to make matters worse, Micah Parsons went down with a non-contact injury and is believed to have torn his ACL. So, guys, can the Packers reach the Super Bowl without Micah Parsons?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm not going to hint around it. I'm going to choose a side here. Anytime you have a dominant force, and I mean dominant force in a guy like Micah Parsons, you can't replace that. I mean, look at Dallas. Like, we just got finished talking about a team that had this individual on their roster. And you mean to tell me, with that type of offense that Dallas had, to add in a league's leading 64 quarterback pressures by one specific individual, that would not have converted into any type of wins? Absolutely. So it's the same thing for Green Bay. You remove that force from your roster. He's not a person that you can say, hey, I'm going to get him, insert him there. Hey, we're going to come up with this type of scheme. Unfortunately, I don't have any faith, without a Micah Parsons on that team. He presents so much problems for opposing teams. Yep. And when those teams do not have to worry about number one, I just can't see it.
And Cam has a point when you're talking about peer pressure and the pressure that Michael Parsons put on a quarterback. And especially, he's going to make a play in the game somewhere. But the only way to combat not having a Michael Parsons is what I was hoping going on here in Dallas, and what I see in spurts with the Green Bay Packers when I see a Jordan Love and a Christian Watson taking over the game. But whenever that combination is not hot, and then you don't have a Mike Parsons, you got all kinds of problems. Because now you got to ask Jordan Love to be consistent in the small game and dropping the ball in small passes. And that becomes difficult without those big plays and big opportunities that Christian Watson brings.
This is the thing for me. I agree with both of y'all, especially you, Cam. There's no way in hell I see Green Bay going to the Super Bowl now without Micah Parsons. But let's crystallize why we feel that way. We know that Jordan Love's physical abilities are top-notch. The brother can play. He is not a scrub. He is an incredibly, incredibly talented quarterback. And they were right, obviously, just like they were right to move on from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers when they did. I'm talking timing. They was absolutely right to do the same with Jordan Love, in favor of Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers. Having said that, there have been a few times, specifically his last 2 playoff games, where Jordan Love has not stepped up to the plate. He's come up small. And by the way, he's also come up smaller than he is, that is, in big games. Yesterday was a big game. Green Bay had won 4 straight. You going into Denver, they hadn't lost a game in Denver in 14 months. They were on a 10-game winning streak. These brothers were ready. And you had a situation where you got a talent like Jordan Love, but you're going up against a Denver Broncos team that was leading the league in sacks, okay? And what do? In the second quarter alone, you got 12 first downs and 229 yards of offense. The remaining 3 quarters, the first, the third, and the fourth, 133 yards and 7 first downs. You see what I'm saying? This is what happens. It's not quite like the Cowboys where you're waiting for it, but it's somewhat that way where you anticipate it's coming and you're just saying, Jordan Love, when is this man, when is that Jordan Love going to show up? Because we all know that when the games get big, and especially that pressure rate rises, because you had Denver pressuring him on like 52% of his passes, which is the most he's been pressured all year long. Somehow, some way, he doesn't respond. This was his worst passer rating of the entire season. Now, you got to give Denver credit because their defense is elite. Right. This is a team that very well may be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. Bo Nix can ball, y'all. Cortland Sutton can ball, y'all. R.J. Harvey can ball. You look at and they're like cardiac kids. These brothers show up when it counts, and the defense is ferocious. They coming for you. I mean, I love their defense. I love Houston's defense. My God, what would happen if they're going up against one another? It would be really interesting to see that. But in the end, what it comes down to is Jordan Love at some point, like look at the last one. You got 1 minute and 3 seconds left in the game. You got one last chance. You got to go down and score a touchdown. Fellas, first, second, third, fourth down. He didn't complete one pass. Not one pass. Not one first down. Nothing. And they had a false start penalty for 5 yards. I mean, you just looking at them, it's like, damn, you need a touchdown. I mean, you couldn't drive and then, damn it, come up short? No. First down, incomplete. Second down, incomplete. Third down, fourth down, incomplete. Damn, not one completion? This is what you're talking about here. Had you drove down the field and then you just came up short and they got a sack, they catch you, that's different. But when you got 60-some-odd yards to go and you can't complete one pass with the game on the line, damn. That's what we're talking about when we talk about Green Bay. So, yeah, Micah Parsons being out does hurt you tremendously. But it's because you knew that defense would make a play, you understand, to save the day for you with Micah Parsons in that lineup. Now he ain't there to save the day, which puts the onus back on Jordan Love. Even though the defense is still good without Micah Parsons, they just ain't what they were. But with without Micah Parsons, you're dependent on Jordan Love more, and you can't.
Yeah, you talk about Jordan Love, and you gotta talk about, you just gotta talk about being consistent now. Because I remember Jordan Love in the playoff. He looked pretty darn good when I saw him in Dallas that time. You know what I'm saying?
That's the only time he looked good.
That was the
That's the only time he looked good.
Everybody looks good versus Dallas. Everybody looks good versus Dallas. J.J. McCarthy looks good versus Dallas. Cam Newton will look good versus Dallas. Like, come on, bro.
Right. And Stephen A., those corners Denver got, those some bad corners. Now, Patrick Surtain and most those guys can play, and they shut her down with Green Bay yesterday. They did a great job. So I gotta give those guys all the credit in the world. But I'm with you guys. Listen, unless Jordan Love can be consistent, more consistent, and play great late, that's the mark of the great quarterbacks, not how well his arm is, how great he throws. It's going to come down to how great he plays late. And the only time I really saw him do that happened to be against my Cowboys.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, man, the only thing that I would add is this. We had a conversation last week with Dan Orlovsky. We mentioned these topics with Ryan Clark, and I hate having these discussions with them not in attendance, but these are the things that really have people hesitant when you have to choose versus a Jordan Love versus the field, because he goes ghost at times. And it's not to say that he's not capable. It's how do you, in your words, playmaker, play better great at the end when we need you the most. And his game hasn't been consistent, in that type of manner.
Michelle, I know we got to go to break. 2 things to bring up, very, very important. 3 things, actually. Number 1, Sean Payton is doing a hell of a job proving himself to be one of the great coaches in the NFL.
Yep.
Number 2, Bo Nix is in his second year. He's 22-9 as a starter, and they've won 11 straight with him behind center in his second year. We got to recognize this brother and understand he can play some football, okay? And number 3, Denver has 58 sacks on the season, 10 more than anybody else in the National Football League, on pace for 70 this year, which would be just 2 shy of the 1984 Chicago Bears NFL record. That's what we're talking about here with the Denver Broncos.
So you give them a grace. You can give them a little grace on Denver, but come on, man. Some of these other games, you got to show up late in these games to win these games, because he was playing the best in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah, it was a rough day for Green Bay Packers fans, guys. Also, in